Alright, it's daily vlog number 5. So I've done this now for nearly a week. Yesterday, you'll see that I put up the new stock that I've made. So that was the mouse stapler, the handballs made out of hamsters, and multi-mamate, a new James, the homunculus man, and also some hearts, bigger hearts about this big, with intestines and rat tail inside. What I'll be doing today is just making more new stuff, making different things to what I normally would, because I can. It'll be fun. I thought it's a nice Christmassy thing to do. But what I thought I'd do is I dug out my old dissertation, which sounds boring as fuck. I know that. Oh, thing there we go. I know it sounds boring, but it was on useless designs. So I thought I'd read one segment of it. This is what I did for my uni dissertation. This chapter is called Open Wide and Say Arse. An obvious avenue to explore would be perverts, more specifically experimental perverts. Now it comes as no surprise that people the world over insert foreign objects into their anal cavity for enjoyment. What will come as a surprise is the wide spectrum of things that have been used for such endeavours. It would be easy to show and explain how these individuals have found alternative uses for jam jars, kids' toys, stationery, glassware, household appliances, camping accessories, kitchen utensils, and even small animals. It would be easy to also pad out these pages with cheap jokes and make fun of these brave members of society, but that'd be too obvious. Instead, here are the top 5 things that doctors have removed from people's arseholes. Battery-powered torch. There are many reasons to use a torch in dark areas, but it seems sexual experimentation is one of the main ones. Number 4, light bulbs. It takes a certain level of bravery and or self-loathing to shove a very thin glass vessel inside an area full of muscles and blood vessels. Number 3, mobile phones. Whether it's the vibrations that get the user off or the potential wordplay that excites them, it's unclear. Number 2, unopened sauce bottle. It had a condom on it. This is by far the most upsetting if you let your imagination run free. It implies he was planning on later using the sauce on his meal at a later point. And, little drum roll please. Number 1, a material with many uses, and one that I've used myself. Epoxy resin. Not my arse, just for making things I put hearts in. Epoxy resin, more specifically 300 millilitres of epoxy acrylic resin, with uses primarily in building. This is by far the most creative anal endeavour. There is only one written record of epoxy resin being used rectally. It isn't very smart, in fact it's particularly stupid and is not a good idea at all. However, it could also be seen as genius, because nobody else had ever done this before. The medical paper accompanying this story states, in 1987 presented a patient who was voluntarily given a concrete enema that was introduced by his sexual partner. This is the only similar case, but the intention was slightly different as a second person was involved. A final byproduct of this activity was a perfectly accurate cast of the patient's anal cavity. It's shown there was no damage or illness within this part of the body, so that is a benefit. However, even though there was no damage to the area and due to the resin casting, his tube sewed perfectly for a 16cm length, there was no natural or slightly manipulative methods to remove the item. The surgeons had to resort to a laparotomy, which I'm guessing means it cuts open your arsehole and whips stuff out your intestines. Which means they cut it open to They cut it open to remove it and a colostomy was added to aid healing. Fortunately, the patient made a full recovery and refused to have psychiatric counselling, insinuating that they were in no mind to stop experimenting. And if you would like to see the resin that was removed out of this person's arsehole, there's a picture there. Now that was my dissertation for uni. I didn't do very well. Now, I thought though, I don't sell that because it's sourced and I think I'd have to get in touch with everyone I got information from. But I do have my own book, Uneducated Guesses, so I thought I'd give it a couple of readings out of that and all, because I am really struggling for ideas on this daily vlog. Right, the first word, so Uneducated Guesses, I should probably read the first page, shouldn't I, and introduce what it is as an idea. So, this is a simple book by a simple man. I thought it'd be entertaining to people if I was to take words and have a pop at figuring out what they mean and use them in what I then consider to be context. A little bit about me. I am a supposedly clever member of society. I have managed to get through university. I got finished college, which terrible sentence. Did reasonably well at school and show off my artistic streak with taxidermy. However, I know very little about lots of things. Usually when I speak, people tend to laugh or smirk. It isn't because I sound retarded, it's just because I say apparently stupid things. So you might laugh, you might not. You might get so sick of this that you stop at page 5 and leave it next to the toilet for the rest of the time you live in your flat. Who knows? But someone will enjoy it. I'm just pretty sure it won't be me. Enjoy the pictures. Right then. So we'll go to the first word. I've stopped that. We'll do two off this page because just to show the different styles of drawings. So we'll have cater cornerways. It's a noun. A commercial chef using self-taught methods to speed up cooking and food preparation activities. Example: when Ludwig set off the smoke alarms and shattered the windows of the kitchen, the owners immediately acted to fire him, but when he explained himself, they discovered he was speed roasting a turkey, using his homemade concoction of explosives. The owners were so impressed by Ludwig's cater cornerways that they put him in a transparent, soundproof room in the eating area, where Ludwig's exploding poultry quickly became the star attraction. And you got a little picture there of Ludwig speed roasting a turkey while shoving a bomb up its arse. You know, with Thanksgiving going by, it's kind of seasonal. Circumscription, a noun. The specific waiver a doctor signs along with a patient/parent/guardian that defers all responsibility regarding mistakes surrounding a circumscription. Example: Gene was on the bus when he realised he had forgotten his circumscription. Dr. Falstick was never going to perform the procedure without it. And there's a little picture there of the circumscription. You can see the different styles of drawing there. Alright, Zaliech, alright mate. I don't know if I said your name right there, man, but I hope I did. Let's have a wave at all you people. If you're looking at this on YouTube and you're wondering who I'm talking to, it's because I do these originally on Instagram first. Emaciated. Verb: when an altar boy or altar girl is dressed and blessed before they begin their role at a mass. Example: Stacey's parents were proud of their daughter earning the role of a choir girl at their local church. Dale's parents were proud too. However, they were very worried about him being emaciated every morning by the priest. And here's a picture of a young boy being emaciated by a priest. Last word we'll go for on here is, we'll do both of these. Surrejoinder, noun. The bond between a child and their surrogate mother. Example: once a year, Rita would meet Sophie and her children and revel in the fact that Sophie's life had been successful. Even though Rita had no part in raising Sophie, she knew she had made the right decision in agreeing to carry her in her womb. Surrejoinder is so powerful it kept Rita going through her final years. Sophie felt it too. As gratitude for making her life possible all those years ago, Sophie started to visit Rita more frequently to make her life more fulfilled. Despite Rita dying a spinster, Sophie and her parents decided it was only fitting that Rita's epitaph read, "Mother, grandmother, friend." And there's a picture of Rita's grave there. So they're not all mean and weird. Some of them are nice. They'll give you a little warm, fuzzy feeling. Speaking of warm, fuzzy feelings, syzygy, noun, for a lesbian orgy. Example: Tina, Georgina, Francine and Carol invited Sarah over for a syzygy. The cat's trying to climb into the video. And here's a picture of a syzygy. Well, a family-friendly picture of a syzygy. So you got like Tina's answered there. They've said they fancy a syzygy, and it's been seen by all those women's names. Alright, guys. Should we have let's have one more. Tessellation. Verb: the act of spinning an object around or causing something to spin at a very high speed. Example: the tessellation of the earth is what caused the 24-hour day and night cycle. And then for that picture there, you got a washing machine. Now, that's Uneducated Guesses. You can get it off my website, you can get it off Amazon. Get it as a digital download if you wanted to from Amazon. There's about, I think there's 80 pages. I thought it'd be cool to put them in Roman numerals, but I can't read Roman numerals, so I don't know how many pages there is, but I'm pretty sure there's about 80, which means there must be about 70 odd words. But I'm planning on doing another one. So if anyone's got any words that you don't think I'll know the meaning to, put them down in the comments below, and when this is on YouTube, and I'll put them in the new book, and I'll even credit you at the start of the book if I remember, like I have here, so you can see that I'm not chatting shit. Like there, I've put a thanks to certain people who gave me words. And I think that'll do for today. I'll see you tomorrow. Keep an eye on my page because I'll be making new stuff. I might do a live stream later on and show you me making some stuff. If you're thinking about getting anything for Christmas though, you're probably gonna want to order sort of soonish, so that it does get to you by Christmas. There's one of them mad orbs again flying past like in the first video. That was weird. That's supposed to be like a sign of like a ghost or something, innit? But there's a thought. What do people think of ghosts, just out of interest? I personally don't really believe in them as such. I think it makes more sense that they'd be some form of alternate dimensional being. Like, like we have a light spectrum, and we can only see like this much of this light spectrum. Say this whole width of your screen here is the light spectrum. We only see like the width of my forehead there, the width of my head of the light. We've got all this side and all this side. And the same with sounds as well. So you could also infer from that you could have also got that with smells as well, potentially. And loads of stuff that we can't interact with. But what if the universe is like I've always wondered if it's like a stack of paper, like a stack of printer paper. And that's where like the stories of werewolves and stuff and vampires come from, and of aliens and demons and ghosts. What if in these other worlds, in these other pieces of paper that make up this stacks of the multiverse, what if we say we live on this one here, we live on this plane, and that's in there nestled in nicely, right, in there with the other, and the one above is vampires, the one below is werewolves, below that is aliens, above the top one is everyone lives in like a Victorian period forever, and that's where we see ghosts because they're always dressed like from the Victorian era. What if they're just other planes of existence, and every now and then something fucks up or a decision's made that interacts with all of them and changes the course of time or history on them all, and it makes a little dent like the Princess and the Pea story, and that means that just for a little time, vampires become visible in our world, we become visible to werewolves, and werewolves become visible to us, and vice, and carries on, and the Victorian ghosts, and that's why, Victorian ghosts and vampires and that sort of blend together quite nicely in stories, because they're all so close to each other in these layers of the universes. Just a thought. And like when you see like grass that's lying down for no reason, I've always wondered, is that like a monster that we can't see, just made out of materials that we can't touch or feel, like an ethereal material, I guess. Well, it wouldn't be a material, would it? But something ethereal, like a gas, or even just something like, I'm not spiritual, but what if it's like mind waves or something, and they can stop themselves and they can be hidden. I don't know, I just think it's a cool idea. I've always wondered it and I've always thought it, so I figured I'd share that with you this morning. I think that'll do. Let me know what you think of that, the Princess and the Pea theory in the comments below. I got people there, that little taxidermist is saying that's an amazing theory, and HBA enjoyed seeing Munch. The cat's called Munch, by the way. But just as a theory, I might expand on that a little bit further. I might take my time and do that. Oh, and speaking about the books, I'm working on another book at the minute. I don't want to say too much about it yet, but hopefully that'll probably be ready in about March. That's taken a lot of research to do it. It's all based on facts, but I've properly twisted it. That little taxidermist, you know what they're saying? You know when you see things in the corner of your eye like really quickly? Yeah? Well, that could exactly be that, mate. That could be you're just seeing that in your peripheral vision. Maybe that's why we're told to ignore our peripheral vision, and we're trained to like... It would make sense as to why we've been given fucking phone screens and technology like computers and TV screens to make us focus on one point forever, constantly focusing on exactly what's directly ahead of your face, rather than looking at like, everything that's around that fucking circle there. Maybe, there's all sorts of stuff going on, over there and behind there that we could see but can't. Like fucking kids, mate. Kids are supposed to be able to see like ghosts and aliens and fucking greys and Nordics and all that sort of stuff, and then it gets beaten out of them. Well, it's your imagination, it's your imaginary friend. But if you watch Haunted on Netflix, there was one that I watched yesterday about some Mexican lad who, I think he was born in Dallas, but his family were Mexican, and he was being followed by this big smiling ghoul, mate, that was dressed as a butcher that had hung himself. And his kids are being affected by that as well. Don't know if it's true, don't know if it's just a creepypasta, but it kind of lies into my theory there quite nicely. But I mean, okay, here's a question then. If you've watched this all the way to the end, fucking well done anyway, because this must have been difficult. But what would be the worst universe to be next to be affected by? like the aliens, be affected by all the aliens in like a universe where, say our universe, right? We are the only living fucking sentient beings on everything on this planet. That's the only life in the whole universe. Imagine, and then so immediately the worst thing to have, like, see it's up there again. Then I think that was just a hair though. The worst thing to have then would be a universe above that's inhabited fucking everywhere. Like even the air itself is inhabited. But what if our air is inhabited by stuff and we just can't feel it or see it or experience it? But what if they're looking now, they're on the other side of this glass just staring at me going, fucking hell, this guy gets it. Fucking, I mean, that'd be terrifying because that'd mean they'd be like fucking knocking on my door trying to say hello and shit, which I don't really want. But I do have a story, and I'll save that story for tomorrow. There's something to fucking look forward to. I'll tell you the only time that I've ever thought of believed in ghosts, because something happened to me in my mum and dad's house when I was younger, and not even all that younger. I'm only talking about being like 16 or so. 15. So I don't think I was under the influence of anything because I hadn't been out. I was just at home. I was playing PlayStation. But we'll pick up with that tomorrow because that's quite a nice little story there. It's a bit funny. So thanks for watching. If you're thinking about buying something for Christmas, try and buy it now because that would be the best bet to do. That means because I send out on Fridays, so it'll give you a good chance of it definitely being there for Christmas, because odds are you're not going to see the person you're giving it to on fucking Christmas Day. You'll want to get it to them a little bit sooner, so please do bear that in mind. But pretty much everything on my website now is already made, apart from that last abominable snowman, which I may make anyway this week just so he's ready. So that's it. Oh, I got one more little thing here from Ruby, that little taxidermist. I remember I used to see human shapes when I was little in the dark, but it would only be for a quick second. Mate, I've got a really fucking vivid memory of watching a snowman run around my back garden when I was a kid. I was being babysat by my next door neighbour, and I remember watching this snowman run, stand still, and you could see it moving. It was like a cartoon snowman, mate, like that, and it hadn't been snowing, so that was what made it weirder. And it was just dark, and it was bright white, and it was moving, and it stopped and looked like it turned, and it just stayed there and ran away. But that's a little ghost story there. I'd forgotten about that one until you said that. Oh, mate, and I remember being in Whitby, specifically I think it was Robin Hood Bay up in the northeast, and I'm fucking sure I saw a guy down an alleyway in a big fucking trench coat holding an axe, but the axe wasn't like upways, it was just fucking downways at an angle, like resting on the floor, and he had hold of the handle of it. You're right, Swolfchan. Yeah, he just had fucking hold of this handle, and I was like, "Ma'am," to my dad, "can you see that?" And as I said, "Can you see that?" there was fuck all there. So that was pretty weird. But still, that still isn't the ghost story. This is mad that these are all coming back. Maybe I need to sit next to, not sit next to myself, that's a really weird way to say that, but just sit by myself and try and remember like bits like this, and that's what we'll do tomorrow. I'll talk about little ghost stories and that I remember that have happened to me and weird shit. So I'll see you tomorrow for daily vlog number 6. See you in a bit.